to start up. Now we're live.
Okay, call to order here, the Zoning Board of Appeals, April 14th, 2026, 6 p.m. Call to order. Do I need to make a motion? Call to order. Do I allow you to do roll call? Okay, so why don't we move to roll call?
Johnson?
Yes, here?
Other
Oh, me?
Oh,
Okay.
Jennifer Johnson.
McMaster's absent, Moore,
Here.
and Chair Johnson.
Here. Okay, so move to approval of agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to?
We have.
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second that.
Okay. All in favor on that?
Aye.
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 Okay, so passes. On to number 4, we have approval of the minutes from December 10th of 2024. So it's been a minute. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Do we have any questions, corrections, concerns with those?
Motion to approve the minutes for December 10th,
Second.
2024.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes passes. Okay, so we're going to open this up to public comment for non-agenda items. That means nothing, something that might not appear on today's agenda. So do I make a motion to open that, or do I just open that? Okay, I'm going to open that up. So I have 2 people in the audience. Is there anybody online that would like to?
We don't do that anyway.
Oh, all right, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to close. Do I need to make a motion to close? I can just close it? Okay, we're closing it. Okay, on to number 6, Wiseman, waterfront setback determination at 304 DeWitt Lane. And I think, yeah, hear a presentation from the applicant, please.
Thank you. My name's Scott Wiseman. Live at 304 DeWitt Lane, Spring Lake, Michigan. And we're here today. We've put in an application for a waterfront setback determination to allow for the proposed addition of a 12 by 12 sunroom, 2 stories at our property at 304 DeWitt. The addition would reside inside the footprint of the existing deck. We're also requesting to extend what basically is kind of the southern portion of that deck. We're going to remove that of it, which is on the more northern side. And then we'd like to extend that out 4 feet along the same, roughly the same angle as the existing deck. The intention is to enhance the waterfront views from the home, increase the property value of the property by adding additional finished area on the first floor and the basement as well. We've sought to do this in a way that does not interfere with the neighboring property's waterfront views or enjoyment of their property. We believe that the diagram, I think it's the next one, was the one that shows the angle of the, maybe the next, maybe the one that was, you were on. Yeah, that one there, right? That kind of shows the angle of, so 300 DeWitt is the property that would, if we were to extend it more, could have an impact. We believe that this demonstrates, as if you were out there physically and looked at it, I think you would see that it does not interfere with the views from that property. Certainly 306 sits further back towards the water, pretty substantially further back towards the water, and wouldn't have an impact. You know, one of the interesting things is 306 was built in 2015, but you know, it's much further back than our property or 314, but doesn't impact the views at all of the waterfront because of our location kind of at the end of that bayou there where, you know, we don't have a full 360 or 180 degree view anyway. So we'd you know, like to request that this be approved and welcome any questions.
Okay, well, you might as well, I guess, can you just there while
Yep,
we go to the
yes.
questions?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions? Applicant?
So this is the current rendering, correct?
This is with the addition, so
This is
that,
with the addition.
the kind of bump out that you see on the rear there, that is the addition.
Okay, so this is showing the larger deck then as well? Or no,
Correct.
you're saying we're still gonna,
No, that's the larger
that's
deck.
the larger deck?
Yes, yeah, technically the deck overall is smaller, but it extends further, the
Wider.
setback is closer.
Okay.
And as you see, if I kind of walk up to there and just kind of,
Of course.
accurately depict what the railing is, the railing angled so that, you know, it directs, you know, the angle that it would cause less of a obstruction of any view than if it was squared off, I guess is a fair way to say it.
And Lucas, can you change to the line of sight analysis? I think that's what we were looking at here. And is there any concern with that green line being from the far side? It seems to me that there was a rendering where it showed off of the western part of parcel 300.
That one. there,
Yeah, that one, right there. So I think that's what you're talking about, where you tried to angle that railing so that
Exactly.
it kind of mimics that line to avoid any kind of, what was the word you used, Lucas, the review? I apologize here. There's a term that I hadn't seen. The view shed.
You should, yes.
The view shed of the corner. So that angle of that deck would be along that view shed, or is
It stays
aligned with
inside
that?
of it so
Yes,
that it doesn't
okay.
block any view of the water, you know. It
So
may
it's-
block a view of Bernie's deck, but.
Yep, okay. And yeah, and I see where that green line kind of comes across the hypothetical edge of the water, or that would be like the 582, Lucas, approximately where that would come through.
It's actually a little less than that, but.
Okay,
So in a case like this, you know, of course, is the ordinance states is that when you have a unique circumstance on the waterfront like this, where you have an unusual shoreline configuration, and then you have houses that are constructed and, you know, some are closer, some are farther back, then this process is set up to help alleviate some of those issues where, you know, that averaging system may not work properly. And of course, it's waterfront property, so we're very cautious about viewshed and protecting those viewsheds. And you know, this is a new ordinance that's been in place now for about a year. So it really is a new responsibility for the Zoning Board of Appeals to make these determinations. So it's not a variance, it's something to say, okay, is this, you know, in a perfect world, you'd have a straight shoreline and every house would have the exact same setback, so when you walk out of your home and look at the waterfront, you'd have a 180 degree view of the watershed. But of course, you know, we just have these unique circumstances that that don't always match up perfectly. So we bring it here to the Zoning Board of Appeals to review, allow the neighbors to chime in, and have that public hearing process and have that work out so neighbors are included in the decision-making process.
Seeing that no neighbors showed up, I think that's a good sign that everybody's okay with it. And it looks like you've done a lot of pre-thinking and making sure and doing the right thing, so I think looks good.
What was sent to us count or no?
Pardon me?
Do they need to show up or do like what they sent in?
So everyone was sent a notice within 300 feet of this property.
Right.
Yep, and we did get some comments, but we'll share those at the public hearing stage. We did get a few emails.
Okay, that's what I was saying, like, does that sort of count or not really because they don't show up?
Oh, no, they count.
Okay, that's what I figured,
I think we
okay.
bring it
Yes,
in
I
in the
think we do
public
have
hearing.
two, yeah.
Okay.
And since we're talking about it, it does, public comment, if a neighbor agrees or disagrees, I mean, that's part of your consideration, if they have concerns, but if both neighbors, for let's say example, disagreed with, the proposal that we're looking at today, it doesn't mean you have to deny it. It's just part of your thoughts, and it kind of adds it in, and maybe there's something you didn't think of that was important, but it's just part of that process.
Really, if any of those of you that receive, would present any questions, we'd be happy to answer those.
Lucas, I was going to ask that too, is during the deliberation, if we have additional questions as we're talking, can we request that the applicant come back and we ask
Yes.
questions at that time? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Fine.
good.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we move on to the public hearing since we kind of alluded to that? And we can address those comments. Lucas, do you want to summarize them for us, or do we?
So you'd open the hearing first?
Oh, okay.
Yep, I know there's no one here, but we open the hearing at 6:12.
Okay, I'm opening the public hearing for the Wiseman waterfront setback determination at 304 DeWitt Lane at 6:12. Do I have to take a roll call to open
No,
this?
no,
Nope.
not for
Okay, I'm
opening,
just
no.
opening it.
So basically, yeah, there's no one here for the hearing, but we did receive 2 emails. There's some inquiries, but 2 emails with opinions. The one of them was from Trish Ostberg, and she is, I believe, at 300 DeWitt Lane on the east. And she had some concerns about the other properties that were being, and I can just read this, actually, it might be better to just read it. Dave has informed me that he's been in contact with you, which I thank you for. Regarding the request, I have to support the required setback determined by the required average waterfront setback number be enforced. Both the Wades and my property meet these requirements. The Wades complied with the requirements when their home was built, despite their request for an adjustment for the street setback. My home also meets the requirements. Their patio already is less than a foot from my property line, which is not in compliance. I feel this may negatively affect the value of my home when it comes time to sell. I also feel the aesthetics doesn't correspond with the nearby homes along the shoreline, nor with the exterior of their home. For these reasons, I must support that the required setback determination be enforced as calculated by the average waterfront setback number. And then the other email was from Mr. David Kauchek. I believe he's at 306 DeWitt Lane. No, I'm sorry, that's Bernie Wade. He's further down. Might be 314. Yeah, he's 314. So, so the main concern there was the required average waterfront setback number is skewed as stated by the location of both the Wade and Kosniak homesteads. The Wade setback to meet street requirements and the Kosniak set forward to meet side yard requirements. However, I believe the larger issue is the proposed exterior materials and their application. The existing structure is currently all brick laid horizontally with a fieldstone facade around the porch. The proposed design shows the addition to be made of a composite material applied on 3 sides in a vertical pattern which, irrespective of color, will not blend into the design of the existing structure. Thus, as a homeowner within the commentary distance, I must support the required setback determination as calculated. So I did confirm he did not support the proposal, and that's his intention. And those were the 2 emails we received.
Okay. And we don't take live feedback here from, okay.
So at this point, if you're free to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, public hearing has been closed.
Oh, you need all those in favor?
Oh, all those in
Sorry.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Formalities.
Those opposed? Okay, we're formally closing the public hearing
Yep.
now. Okay, so we'll go to deliberation here. Talk amongst ourselves, correct? Did you
Want us to
guys?
use that other room, or?
Oh, no, they stay here.
Oh, they say, okay.
we
Oh,
just-
absolutely.
No, we can just talk like.
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
It's just really, this time is reserved for the board to speak amongst yourselves about
Okay.
the application in the public venue
Oh, okay.
and build consensus. I would also recommend just walking through the criteria.
Yep.
And talking about those if, to the extent you're comfortable, so.
So we have a different set of criteria, being that this is not, we're not seeking a variance, we're seeking a determination or a appropriate determination of a waterfront setback, correct? And we're considering this as the zoning board of appeals because this is not your traditional shoreline. There's some uniqueness to it that kind of requires us to deliberate. So I think Lucas would prefer if we walk step by step through these 6 criteria, and we can just kind of, openly discuss what we're thinking about there, and if there's any concerns, we can ask the applicant to, address any questions that might come up. So, requirement or consideration, criteria number 1 is the location of buildings on the adjoining properties. So, adjacent properties, we're talking, kind of within that green line of sight. Or should we extend this out, Lucas, to the more of the macro view of it, not the micro? Yeah, maybe
There's
maybe
too.
that one.
Yep.
I guess I did have a question to that point with the comment that was made, is that, would that be true then, that the deck would fall?
I had that same question.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell off of like the street,
Right.
like, but it seems to me that the deck is running parallel with the property line. So Lucas, is there any validity to
So-
that 1 foot?
So from again, the intent of the ordinance would be to look at, making sure that the subject home 304 did not cross over that green line. That's
Okay.
really the intent.
So it
Okay.
has nothing to do with the orange ones?
So it's,
So the other ones, yeah, those were there just to kind of give you some ideas on what that sight line looks like, and that sight line is running to the south, and basically, there is no waterfront view
Okay.
that it would be infringed upon with that line of sight that's there. So in this case, I would probably, if Mr. Wiseman was planning to go anywhere, you know, beyond that green line, I would advise not doing that, and that would be infringing upon the view of 300 DeWitt, because in reality, the 300 DeWitt, their view shed is already, you know, infringed upon by 306, but because of the unique situation, they're really, you know, the way with the curvature of the shoreline there, it would still be fairly minimal, but the magic line, in my opinion, as a zoning administrator, is really that green line. As long as they're staying behind that, there isn't an infringement on that view shed.
What I'm hearing is we should focus on application of the green line.
Okay.
But that's what I would call is the hard line.
Okay.
Now, if there are other factors that come into your discussion, you know, those can certainly be brought up. And as I mentioned in my report, there's you can say, well, you know, the addition of the sunroom is okay, but we're not okay with the deck addition. You can start to look at those different factors and how those fit in and how it might affect the neighbors and what's fair for the applicant themselves, so,
Okay.
yep.
So we're still on criteria 1 here with the location of the buildings on adjoining properties. So we're talking about that view shed area and whether or not the extension of the deck with the conversion of the existing deck to a sunroom is going to negatively affect that view shed, given the applied waterfront setback. So I went out to the property and I saw on the 300 parcel that they had planted some very large shrubs down what I thought might have been the property line that actually kind of shielded their bay window from the 04 property. And so I thought that because they were willing to do that, that the view line of where I could see the deck was staked out seemed to be within that line. So for me, I kind of question maybe like if you're willing to plant vegetation to shield that view from the house adjacent, I didn't see that the deck as it was staked would really cause any shed issue with that house. So that was my 2 cents on what I noticed on number 1. And I didn't really have any concerns with 306 because that's already further lakeward. Jeff, do you have any thoughts on
My
that?
only thought was 306 is closer to, if they were going to be the closest to the water in the neighborhood, but 306 is quite a bit closer. So even with their addition, they're not anywhere near 306. So I think it's fine.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Okay. There, Jennifer?
Yeah, that was, I mean, truthfully, my only question for 1 came down to more the question of the orange, but if we're looking at the green and not the orange, then yeah, I would say the same thing. I don't think that would, you know, be a negative.
Okay. Does everybody feel comfortable moving on to number 2? Okay, criteria number 2 is the effect of construction on the lot in question on the view from adjoining properties. I think we kind of, 1 and 2 are similar in nature. I think my same response to 1 would apply to 2 here, so.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're okay with 2? Okay. Number 3 is the potential effect of erosion and flooding from high water on the lot in question. Went out there and I took a look. Those properties are pretty elevated off that water body, so I didn't have any concerns there.
No, I agree, because I did
Jim?
drive by too.
Yeah, no, none of them appeared on the map, so. I
Okay.
don't think that's
Okay, moving to number 4, the effect, if any, of the proposed building and any related improvements on existing seawall or other flood control or erosion devices located on adjoining properties. Yeah, there is a seawall to the south there,
Oh,
and it might be on 314, but I think the effect, I think the grade of that kind of is a
Oh, I see
concave
down here, yeah.
depression, and it's going to all flow just directly to the water. So I think the likelihood of if there was a chance, it'd be more on 306, but I think the nature of that concave, the special features of that shoreline, it's just gonna flow to the water. Okay. So on to number 5 here is the relative proximity of the proposed building to adjoining properties, specifically including proximity to occupied dwellings. And, whoops.
I don't think the and was meant to.
And got
Numbers, number 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 are all maybe a little bit redundant,
Okay.
if you will, so, so you could probably, I think you've done a good job in looking through those, but, you know, they asked the same question with just a little bit of a different
twist.
twist. Yep.
Well, I think maybe that's where the question of
The orange.
the
yeah.
orange comes into play, that I think we should maybe at that ask, because I did think that myself. And when you say orange, do you mean the yellow?
Oh, the orange lines on the, oh, I guess, are these, just these orange lines here?
Oh, the, okay.
Actual property
Are
lines.
those the survey lines or property
Yeah,
lines?
that's what I think.
Okay.
Oh, you're looking at the
Yeah,
yellow on the deck.
the
Got it,
little
got it,
yellow,
okay.
that's what I'm
No, I was actually looking at the, yeah, the
Okay.
property lines
And I
themselves.
totally see it now. They could be orange. I just, in my head, I'm like red. So Lucas, I'd like to ask, like, there's no concern about that comment? Like, I'm assuming they're meeting all the setbacks and everything that,
So, I mean, the setback is, I mean, that's what we're looking at today as far as meeting you know, they're meeting the side yard setback that's required, that's
Okay,
there. So
that's-
this waterfront setback is really the only thing that's on the table tonight, so.
perfect, perfect.
But yes, otherwise they are compliant.
Okay, I think that's the question.
Yeah,
I
that
had.
was-
Yeah,
that
the
was my
side-
thought, too.
The side yard setback, so that's 5, and then number 6, like Lucas said, is the effect of the proposed building on adjoining properties and surrounding neighborhood. That seems to kind of come into question in some of the comments here about the materials. But if we could get the rendering there, Lucas, the color rendering, this seems to be very much the same color scheme as the property at 304. So I don't know,
Well, in zoning wise, we have, you know, commercial requirements, but we don't have residential requirements.
There are no architectural requirements for single-family dwellings
Okay.
in the village.
fair enough. So I kind of wondered, to each his own, you know? Like, if that's so I guess we are still in deliberation here. But as Lucas had mentioned, that really what we're talking about is not a variance, it's do we make a motion to approve an adjustment to the waterfront setback as presented by the applicant, given the uniqueness of the shoreline features? Would that be correct?
And the location of the adjacent homes, you know,
Okay.
the variation of the setbacks.
Because like this, the site plan to me makes it look a lot closer, I feel like, than the aerials do, correct? Or do we just consider the waterfront area to be maybe a lot closer than what it looks like on the picture? Would that be sort of the green line is what we're looking at on the site map then, as that far line?
Yep, that would be the maximum, and based on, now, keep in mind, these are aerial photos using GIS, which is never 100% accurate. But, you know, when you're utilizing, you know, these tools, I mean, we're pretty close to that 10-foot mark, and the applicant's asking for 4 feet, so we're theoretically still 6 or 6.5 feet short or shy of that green line. That would be what I would call is your, you know, your maximum request that somebody should really ask for, because now you're really starting to protrude
Yeah.
out beyond the adjacent home. And so in this case, it's an additional 4 feet of deck with a wire railing. And so that'll be open air with no roof or walls in that space either. So
Yeah.
there's still an ability, I mean, there'll still be furniture, you know, on the deck, but it's gonna have a different impact than the sunroom itself, which only protrudes out, was it 2 or 4 feet from the existing home? 4 feet from the existing home. So, that help? Yeah. Okay. And
So
keep-
we're at the time that we have to, you know,
The determination?
make a, yeah, are we accept, is the applicant, provided or setback, are we okay with keeping that? Given the circumstances? Shoreline, a regular shoreline, and the location of the adjacent properties. Because if we are, there's a sample motion here that we can, would essentially accept the adjustment to the waterfront setback as provided by the applicant, given the fact that they meet criteria.
Okay. So making a motion to approve the waterfront setback as presented at 304 DeWitt Lane as it meets all the criteria in section 39026C3 of the zoning ordinance with the following conditions. The applicant shall comply with other local, state, and federal laws, and the applicant will comply with all verbal representations. That's essentially what,
At your motion?
that's my motion. Sure, that's your
Second.
motion, but that's my motion.
Second it.
Second by Jeff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So
Okay.
because we have 3, we needed everybody to
You're good.
say aye, and so the motion passes.
Motion passes. Perfect.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice work.
Okay, so,
applicants. Nice work.
do we, at this point, just
Motion to adjourn?
move to adjournment? Okay, well, does anybody have a motion to,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
and everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay,
Okay.
adjourned at
6 something.
6:33.